Good afternoon, everybody. Wait, let me see if my mic is on. Yep, the mic is on. Good afternoon. It is April the 5th. Got some good stuff today. I'm sure you guys have already heard the spiel as to exactly what this is. This is a daily recap, curated video newsletter of sorts to go over some of the most important events, news, articles, anything happen in the marketing, tech, social media, digital advertising world. The first two episodes have been a big success. You can expect these to be published every weekday. So, with all that being said, I found some really good stuff today. First off, let me say that The Hustle, thehustle.co, is by far my favorite newsletter out right now. Well, actually, it's a tie. The Hustle and another one called Next Draft by Dave Pell. Dave Pell's newsletter is sort of actual news. It's a little bit biased, but there's no fluff and opinions behind it. It's a curated newsletter of everything that happened in the day with politics and current events around the world and all that. The Hustle is a curated newsletter that is all tech related, but really Silicon Valley related. So it's not so much of like the whole of the industry as much as like SaaS and startup companies and what's going on. So there was a really cool, it wasn't really an article, a bunch of articles put together on The Hustle. Remember, that's thehustle.co. I'm just going to publish their website because this isn't an actual article itself. This is just part of the newsletter. But they did a study that makeup of all the industries has not really been affected by the e-commerce burst that we're seeing, which isn't surprising. You wouldn't think it, well, maybe it would, because of the commercials and all the beauty behind makeup, but it is a super ruthless industry. The profit margins on makeup are so ridiculously high, and so when people get in there, it's like a super cutthroat industry. So the $57 billion global cosmetics market is one of the few retail verticals experiencing healthy growth. And as department stores close up shop left and right, brands like Sephora and Ulta are actually expanding their footprint. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're expanding their company, although it does mean that, but more specifically it means that they're expanding their location-based businesses. So they're opening up more stores, being put in more malls. More specifically, Sephora already has nearly 1.8 thousand stores worldwide. Ulta is adding 100 to their 1,000 locations this year. That's pretty incredible. However, that's not to say that Amazon hasn't been cutting into the makeup industry, because it has. But as a whole, makeup and cosmetics is one of the few industries where people still are preferring to buy in person. And there was a funny little quote here, which I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but okay. Makeup is just more conducive to in-person purchases than, say, appliances or electronics. Gotta see if you can pull off the matte coral lip stain in real life. Basically what they're saying is, if you're going to test out makeup, it's really difficult to order it over the internet and then send it back and all that stuff. So I expect to see this continuing to grow. That's pretty amazing, though. Ulta is opening up 100 different stores throughout the world. On that note, I found a really cool article on wellandgood.com. This isn't as tech related as it is marketing related. I've always been fascinated by the marketing ploy over the last 10 years of low fat food products, low fat yogurts, low fat anything, all these low fat diets, and how much of complete bullshit it all was. And this woman, I think it's a woman, you know what? Probably shouldn't make that assumption. Yeah, I can't find who the author of this article is. Nonetheless, the author of this article is just saying flat out that all of her low-fat diets have been total crap, and that the real enemy has been sugar. We've seen countless studies, especially over the past 2 or 3 years, about the ridiculously harmful effects of sugar, especially granulated sugar, and how fats, and really including saturated fats, play a really important role in the diet. So, you know, people have been buying all these low-fat products, not realizing that they're replacing the fat with sugar because they have to keep making it taste good, and, you know, put like a pink wrapper around their low-fat yogurt, and people haven't been seeing the results that they want to see. And as a result, we still have a pretty obese society. So I'm happy to see this, because it's always fascinating to me, like I said yesterday, that hive mind mentality. But I've seen a lot of health content, especially on Instagram and on blogs. I mean, coaching, and well, fitness coaching and lifestyle coaching and personal trainers is like a really, really huge online industry, especially with like one-on-one trainers, just normal people that can make a good living creating their own personal training business. And with that, I have seen people educating other people on the harmful effects of sugar as opposed to the harmful effects of fat. So I'm happy to see that. Nonetheless, this article was really interesting because it's firsthand from like a nutrition expert talking about how, looking back on it, all of the articles that she's written and all the diets that she's written on low fat have just been complete lies, complete bullshit. Finally, getting into some real marketing news. I'm going to tell you firsthand, Simon Penson wrote, like, this has got to be a 10,000 word article. I have not read the whole thing. It's the State of Content Marketing Survey 2017, and it's on Moz. So Moz.com every year does a state of marketing survey for a bunch of different verticals, and this is the State of the Content Marketing Survey. So they interview, I don't know how many people, my guess is a couple hundred, pull a bunch of data together and make pretty accurate, I don't want to say assumptions, but they come up with exactly what's going on with Google and what we can predict to be working right now and what will probably be working in the future, specifically with search engine optimization. Moz.org is really an SEO site. So this was really fascinating because content, just creating content with SEO, especially written word content, so blogs, words on an actual page, has continued to be important. However, this survey has really made the conclusion that it's not just about content, it's about constant content. So is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? What they're advising against is people spending a bunch of time building like a huge content strategy, you know, like some kind of 20-page how-to guide or some kind of series that's like a week long, and then boom, they publish it, they let it run through, they collect a bunch of emails, they try to sell a bunch of products, and then after it stops, their content stops. So then they have to start all over again and come up with another kind of huge campaign. This article is saying not to do that. Keep in mind, though, I think this is important. This article is saying not to do that in the context of a search engine optimization. If collecting emails and marketing to your audience directly through email is what you're trying to do, then maybe that kind of campaign is worth it, where you spend a lot of time, you roll out a course, you sell as much as you can in an allotted period of time, and then when you take a break is usually when like you fulfill on whatever sales you made. So it all depends on what your goal is here. But if your goal is to rank higher in the search engines, especially like site-wide, to have like your brand recognized as an authority through Google, then you want to make sure you're publishing content on a constant basis, and you want to make sure you're publishing long-form, rich content. Super interesting shit right here. If you have the time, I recommend reading through this whole article because I've read Simon Penson before, and I know that Moz does not mess around with their content. It's like super in-depth, and you'll get pretty much everything that you want to know about it. But you know, people have like 3-second attention spans these days, so I highly doubt anyone's going to do that. That's it. Appreciate you guys. This is all important stuff. Let's keep going. I'll talk to you tomorrow.